Okay, here's the second part of the notes. This one's important, super important. This is where you'll see some new information. Okay, so here we go. So the notes, right? Continued, right? Take these notes. Don't just watch this. All right, so we were talking about squares, right? Like when you square something. So we said like 7 squared means that whatever this is, you're gonna multiply it what? To itself 2 times. Okay, and you know the answer, right? 49. Now they can also write it like this. Sometimes you'll see parentheses, right? I can have 14, and sometimes I'll put parentheses, but it means the same thing, right? For numbers, you'll just see it like this, but it's gonna change. This is the new part. It's not just gonna be numbers, okay? So just follow. So again, if you see something with the parentheses squared, that means that you do what? Whatever's in here, just like you did, you multiply it to itself twice. Okay, and then I could do 14 squared right on the calculator. If you know how to use that key, learn how to use it. Or you can do 14 times 14. Oops, you guys can't even see that. Is 196. So whatever's in here, with anything you have to square, right, to the power of 2, you multiply it to itself, right? And there's only 2 of them. If it was 3, well, then you do 7 times 7 times 7, but we're not talking about that. Okay, here's the new deal. Here's the new stuff. Ready? What if you have, here's number 1, the square root of 5 squared. It's not 5 squared, it's the square root of 5 squared. Okay, don't panic. When it's a number, okay, you already know. You can punch this in the calculator. When it's this, I want you to solve it by hand, show your work. Well, again, remember, if it's the square root of 5 squared like this, which will look weird, and that's why they use parentheses, you know that means what? You know that means that I have to multiply what? This to itself, just like you just did over here. That would be the square root of 5 times another square root of 5. Okay, but I'm going to show you a shortcut right now, so pay attention. You know that anything you have in the parentheses, anything squared, is doing it and multiplying it to itself, right? Whatever's in here, multiply it to itself. Whatever is here, multiply it to itself twice, right? 2 times. That's why that's the number 2. Now, the square root of 5 times the square root of 5, actually, yes, you multiply, but don't get 25. Don't do 5 times 5 and do 25. Just leave it like this, 5 times 5. Why? Remember on the first video I told you, and I was mentioning that whenever you have a square root, you want to have the same number twice, right? If this, I understand that this has to be, there has to be 2 of them that multiply each other. But when I do that, you just write 1 square root and you multiply these 2. Well, when you multiply these 2, don't bother to get the answer 25. Just know that, hey, I already have 2 of the same number. I already have 2 of the same number. I don't need to know that 5 times 5 is 25. It's already 2 of these numbers, and when it's 2 of them, the answer is just whatever's in there. Whatever's under the square root. When you have 2 of the same kind, that's the answer, right? If you just have a little side note, if you just have the square root of 5 and it's just 1 5, okay, that's nothing. That's just the square root of 5. But when there's 2, that's the key thing about these square roots. We're trying to find the same number twice. Once I find the same number twice, that's the answer, right? But my point is this. Look at number 2. What is the square root of, I'm sorry. I'm going to square something. I want to square this, which is I'm going to multiply it twice, right? I said the wrong thing. What if I tell you something like Pick a good number here. Okay, we'll go with 13. Well, you know that when you square something, that means that what? Oh, well, that means that you have to multiply. There's two of them, right? A square root of 13 times another square root of 13. Remember, going back to the simple concept. If I'm squaring a number, I know that I'm multiplying whatever it is to itself, right? Well, I got to do the same thing here. Whatever's in here, I'm multiplying it to itself, right? There's two of them, twice. Okay, here's my point. My point is, don't multiply 13 times 13. I don't need to know what 13 times 13 is. It is 169, by the way. But I don't need to multiply these. I don't need to do that. I already know that when I see this and I see the square root of 13 times the square root of 13, I got 2. Remember, you want to get 2. And when you get 2 of the same number underneath the square root, then that means that that's the answer, right? I don't need to know that 13 times 13 is 169. Some people go in a big circle and they do this 13 times 2, they get 169, and then they do the square root of 169 in their calculator, all to get back to what? All to get back to 13. You had it you had it in the beginning all the way, all the time. Okay, so what is the square root of 23 squared? Well, if you get the idea, you know that you're going to do what? A 23 times a 23. I have to multiply the square root of 23 times the square root of 23. And that would be like this. But I know it's always going to give me what? The same number twice, and that's what I want under the square root. So guess what? I don't need to know what the square root. I don't need to know what 23 times 23 is. Since I have 2 of them under the square root, I know the answer is just the whole number 23. Here's where it gets tough now. Here's where it gets tough. Look at number 4. How about 2 root 5 squared? Oh, what? Now you have a whole number out here, like 2 times square root 5. It's right in front of it. It's 2 times the square root of 5. How do you do that? Well, that would be, well, what does this mean? This means a 2 root 5. First, let's take care of the square business, right? We know that whatever's in here, I gotta multiply it to itself. Now I'm gonna do the square root part first. Yeah? That means that there's a 5 and a 5, right? I'm putting the square roots together, right? I'm going to multiply this, and I know everything that's under the square root, well, the 5 gets multiplied to the 5. Now, how many 2's are there, though? Is there only 1 2? No, there's what? There's 2 2's now, right? So the outside numbers, I'm multiplying them on the outside, right? These 2 outside numbers, I'm multiplying them on the outside. And these 2 inside 5's stay inside the square root, right? They stay inside the square root. And those are going to multiply. So there's 2 little things going on here. Well, I already know, and we've been talking about this, what's the square root of, and if I have 5 and 5 and it's the same number, this answer is what? For this part is just 5, right? It's just the whole number 5. And what's 2 times 2? 4. This problem is really just saying what? This is 2 times 2, 4. This will give this square root with the 2 5's under there. It makes the whole number 5. This problem is really what? Just 4 times 5. The answer is what? 20. Let's do another one. Number 5. How about if I have 6 root 3 but I gotta square that. Yeah. Well, what does that mean? Well, I know that anytime I have to square anything, it means I have to copy it twice. I gotta multiply it to itself, right? 2 times. But again, separate the whole numbers with the whole numbers, separate the roots with the roots. I do the roots first. You can do the numbers first. It doesn't matter. When I multiply the square root of 3 times the square root of 3, well, I just keep one square root and I do a 3 times a 3. Those go inside. And for the numbers on the outside, how many 6s are there? Not just one. There's 2 of them. 6 times 6, right? The outside number gets multiplied twice. The inside number gets multiplied twice. Anyways, what's the answer for this? And I already have the same number twice under the square root. If you have 2 of the same numbers under the square root, it just comes out. It comes out. And it's just the whole number. So the answer for this part is 3. And 6 times 6 is not 12. I know you're thinking 6 plus 6. 6 times 6 is 36. So this one, it would be what? Well, whatever 36 times 3 is. Calculator time. 36. Oh, how about if I turn it on? 36 times 3. 108. That's the answer. Okay, I'll just do another one real quick. Just watch the steps. Last one, number 6. What if I have 5 root 10, but I got to square that? Well, I already know that's 5 root 10 times another 5 root 10. Yes, please write it down. Please write it down. Don't try to go from here to like this step, okay? I know later you'll get really sharp with it, but this is where a lot of people make mistakes. How many 5s do I have? I have 2 5s multiplying. And under the square root, what do I have? 2 10s multiplying. And this part's easy. I have the same number twice. It comes out as just the whole number 10. 5 times 5 is 25. Well, multiply those 2 parts. 25 times 10, 250. Okay, we're going to be doing this a lot, so you got to get sharp with these. Okay? All right. That's it for video 2. Thank you. The notes. Hopefully that was good.